if you are ready.
Well noted.
All right.
So nice meeting you all. I'm looking forward to a fruitful discussion.
We're excited to have you too.
Yeah. Yeah, too.
So the appearance issue, you posted something that really, got my interest, that this isn't something new. Probably it's because it has affected a lot of people. So it has gotten the attention of the masses, right? And it is something that isn't something that has been happening over the years, but has been affecting very few people.
When it comes to disasters in Ghana, it's more like a festive season. It comes once in a while. In a year, you have like one or two, like Easter and Christmas. And everyone, oh, when it comes, oh, what happened? Oh, our condolences to them. Then we all keep quiet about it. Oh, everybody's condolences are gone. And the next Easter, something else happens again. The Apiati issue is not any new issue. We had in Accra here, the explosion that happened, the gas explosion in Accra.
Yeah.
It killed more than 100 people. The same thing happened. They didn't put in any precautionary measures in place. You still have filling stations embedded within areas that are livable.
Yeah.
You have people within filling station area. So if another gas explosion happens today, you get masses dying. No precautionary measures are being put in place. The one in, what do they call it, in Kumasi, that happened. The flooding and look at the number of people that died, close to 30 people that died. Yeah. Nothing also happened. Every time in Accra, we keep on having flooding. And every time we have the flooding, people die. Properties are lost. Things are damaged. What happened? We wait until the next season again to have the same thing. And now the Apiati issue. On the first instance, media stations that are even taking the news viral are even getting the story wrong. At an instance, they say it's a gas explosion. In the next instance, they say it's a dynamite explosion. This is a gas explosion. You see on many media coverages, gas explosion, Apiati gas explosion. Very wrong. Even our means of communication is wrong. Till now, the government do not actually know what happened because there are no CCTV cameras in place or any monitoring stations in place to see our day-to-day activities and monitor progress. That area is a mining area. I lived there. I was working at Goldfields Ghana Limited as a national service personnel. And I always frequent the Bonsu road. So I know the area very well. And when that thing happened, I really felt touched. The number of people that died is quite alarming.
Wow.
I'm not even certain that they are able to even get the total amount, because if the particular explosion can dismantle the car and you can't actually locate its parts, just imagine a human body part.
Yeah.
Just looking at that area, it's more like it's a local area. So I'm not even certain most of them are in the database of Ghana. So how would they be able to track or know the number of people that died, except the family members come out and say, my mother or my father or my brother?
Yeah, of course, when they can't find them.
The Ghana card, how many people are having the Ghana card to be able to say that, okay, these are the number of people in the database and the number of people that died. We have a lot of faulty systems. The Apiati issue, after it has happened, what happened? We have a lot of dignitaries taking their cars, going all the way there, having interviews there and saying, I'm sorry, we are sorry, and that's all. Hopefully, ending of this year or next year, pardon me, God forbid, you have something else again. These are trends. These are trends that keep on happening. Even at that Takwa area, when the mining individuals are busy doing their activities, you can hear the vibration. You can feel it in your house. Then talk less of when it is now being exposed in the air. So it is really a challenge. And the more we keep on waiting for disasters to happen without putting the necessary precautionary measures, the more we are just digging more graves to be filled by our own siblings and our parents and brothers and sisters.
All right. So one thing that got my interest probably the most is the fact that these mining communities have no sort of protection at all. So, for instance, if they are they are being murdered day in and day out by these mining companies, nobody will get to know. For instance, if just one person dies in Apieti, it wouldn't become a news. Even if it would be within, that jurisdiction. It wouldn't come as this one has, come all over. So is it you are suggesting that there should be some sort of, effective protection if we could have, say, CCTVs on the shoulders of the roads or within those communities so that the government can monitor? Because aside that, it will be very difficult to monitor what is happening. And we would say that, okay, one person has died, so, okay, it's nothing, right? With CCTV the right way to go, or we should have a better security system. How are we going to do that?
Okay, and now let me blow your mind. The only reason why this thing has come out is because a lot of people died at the goal. That's the only reason why this has really come out and become a major issue. Because in Takwa, the mining area, Bonsu, all those areas, people die day in and day out from the mining activities, from the galamsey activities. You have a lot of youth, you have a lot of individuals that do the galamsey. Some of them don't die at the instant. Some of them die at the instant. Some of them, the disease, they have some disease when they do the mining. You see their hands are chopping off. And from there, they die due to all those diseases they get. Those are just one-time occurrences. When it happens, like maybe one, nobody sees.
Yeah.
Or they know about it, but they just turn a blind eye to it. So those things happen. But just this time, it's because it's more like, okay, people died at a go. So it's quite alarming. And if we don't talk about it, the population will talk about it. However, so you just imagine that is what is already happening. People are already dying, not doing anything about it. One, it tells you that we have a failed system. And secondly, you have a lot of occupational health personnel living in that areas. They are trained to foresee and see that, okay, this is something we can predict in the future. Let's put these necessary measures. Let's put in these necessary steps. So one, those people are not doing their work. Mm-hmm. Because in the first place, that particular car moving, that truck moving, should have a particular guard, like followers at the front and at the back.
Yeah.
Or a big signage on it. It tells you that the health and safety in that company or within that area is not working. Wow. I work at Go Canada Limited, and their safety is so much. Like it is so much. But how often would you see that safety being replicated in other companies or other areas?
Yeah.
You can have one particular company being dedicated to be safe, ensuring that the maximum safety is ensured. But how can you do that for a whole country, especially government institution? You can have private institutions being more dedicated to safety than a government institution. So within those particular areas, apart from the fact that the government have to put in like occupational health and safety individuals that would foresee and monitor occurrences and incidents, there have to be a monitoring system in place, like CCTV cameras. We already lack that as a nation. Looking at our major cities, we don't have those. You can have that only at traffic lights or some areas, but the next time when you come, what happens? Is it a spot or faulty no maintenance system? Even our lights on our streets, are they working? Then talk less of a CCTV camera. So this is something we have to put in, like these are some of the measures. And don't forget, that particular truck passed through, will I call it a police station, or what do they call it? A barrier. They passed through a barrier. They asked them, what are you carrying? Where are you going to? Or maybe they didn't ask, and all they did was just to hand over some cash.
Even before you continue from there, I learned it is in the laws of the land that these, trucks carrying explosives should be escorted by the police or security
That's
men.
true.
And
That's true. That's very true.
obviously they are not doing that. And now, the authority thinks, okay, now we are going to check it. Now we are going to find out if indeed you had, escorts or whatever. Because we don't have any system in place to really check indeed if, just as you are saying, if a policeman, at the barrier checks where are your, escorts.
Yeah.
But
Or
is it
what are you
something?
even carrying?
What are you even carrying? So it's obviously they have lost focus. They've not been disciplined enough, those in authority. And would you say that this should be a wake-up call? And do you have confidence that maybe things would change? I don't.
You say I don't. Okay. When you say wake up call, they are already awoken.
Mm, mm,
They're already awoken, but the system is just not permitting things to function effectively. It's every day it all boils down to we don't have the money, we don't have the money. When this disaster happened, how many people did we have coming up to donate something? That's the question you ask yourself.
yeah.
Ibrahim Mahama came out, gave those number of rice, and so you had all those things in place, and people are dying of hunger.
Mm.
Just imagine.
So we are ready for accidents.
So you have people who are willing to donate money, to donate building items, and you have those individuals living in huts in the first place until people die. Well, that's why the system will always be like until you die before people will come to your funeral and donate huge amounts of money.
Yeah, of course.
It's a very funny system. This is not, listen, I don't know if it's a wake-up call to them because they've seen it. It's just because a family member of theirs didn't die in addition. So it's just like, oh, one of those disasters that's happened. And now they've all gone back to their house and crossed their arms, waiting for a next disaster. But I think there is hope though. Since we have individuals like yourself coming up and talking about this, there is hope. We have more individuals standing up and talking like myself. I think there is hope. And hopefully to now, the mining companies will be able to put in a lot of precautionary measures. If before goldfields, their safety was 80%, I'm sure now it's become 100%.
Yeah.
So this will be more of a wake-up call to the mining agencies and the communities themselves to demand their rights and ensure that these individuals are making sure they do the right thing to ensure that they are safe and their families and communities are safe. Because right now, not only are we having displaced people, we are having displaced biodiversity. That's one aspect that people do not talk about. The fact that not only have we lost individuals, we've lost biodiversity. Those places were being inhabited by plants, by organisms, by flora, fauna. Right? Nobody talk about it. Environment is like on a low scale when it comes to Africa or Ghana. So those are things that they're not talking about. But there's hope that time to come, the necessary measures we put in place to avert such disasters happening.
All right. Now, fortunately for us, you've worked with one of these companies, which is great. Now, when you get to the mining communities and you find out that these are should I say the key stakeholders of whatever we get. Okay. Now, when you look at the communities and their states, as in where gold, oil, whatever are found in these communities in that particular state, how do you feel about it? Do you feel guilty that you are part of the company, you were part of the company working for them?
When you say guilty, that is quite alarming because now you are trying to say that the companies are at fault to an extent, right?
For me,
It's a two-way, it's a very dicey game, yeah. Because not only did I work there, but as part of my work, I also do surveys over there. I did a particular survey with World University Service of Canada, where we're doing green business development within mining areas for women and youth. And we were able to visit some of those areas. We have somewhere called Brigade. It's a Galamsey area, a Galamsey community. They engage in a lot of Galamsey. And with that area, we interviewed more than 100 women and youth. And you tell them that, okay, why don't you go into a different job like agriculture, like mushroom farming, all those green business, sustainable businesses? They'll tell you, oh, it doesn't produce fast money for us. The gold, when they go on the ground, they dig, they wash, they are gone. Those people living in all those huts, it will surprise you, they have millions. They have a lot of money.
Wow.
But now it's left for them to develop. You see a young guy, 17 years old, 18 years old, he has a car, he's not educated. No education, but they have money. Yes, they are getting the money, but they don't have the education to sustain the money. So Goldfields developed a system where they called it, it's more like an internship system where youth within the community, they only accept youth within the community who have gotten an amount of education, like university, what do they call the other type of university? When you're not diploma, you come into the company and work for 1 year, 2 years. I've forgotten what they call it. But when I was there, they were doing the same thing. It's like close to an internship, but after service, you can still do it. So they are trying to promote these individuals within the communities instead of them going into the Galamsey or instead of them just going to deviancy. So these are some of the measures that we're putting in place. So as I was saying, you have them, all their mentalities just get towards getting fast money. And they're not developing. They have money, but they're not developing. You find them living in huts, but you find them wearing a very expensive watch. You find them living in huts, but you find them taking a lot of women and just messing up the whole money.
I see.
Like, there are a lot of instances where you will go there, you will see the guys, their hands all chopped off. You see them, they're having gold, they're willing to sell the gold. It's just very, very, it's amazing. The Goldfields or the companies over there, they've not failed. The leaders of the communities have failed. And within those individuals, those leaders and then those community individuals, you bring green businesses to them. Few of them take it up. What they prefer to do is to galamsey their lands to produce gold rather than put up crops for agricultural purposes. Most of the youth now are indulging into galamsey rather than agriculture. You find like the system, and all they are just waiting for is those mining companies bringing them money. Every time they bring them money, and every time the money is squandered, is finished. Because I was working at the environment department as an environmental officer, as a service personnel. Over there, you work, although you're a service personnel, but you're working. And there's opportunity to also have that work with the managing director. And he will tell me that, Betty, we've put in a lot of business supporting systems for these people, but we noticed that at the end of 1 year, at the end of 2 years, the businesses are damaged. There are no sustenance to them. They're not able to monitor them. They just leave it. They just squander all the money and just leave it. You can't do anything to them. So what they decided to do is to put a more sustaining project like building of roads, building of buildings, toilet infrastructures, borehole system, because those ones are projects that you can see that they've actually done. Because if you go to the community and you tell people that, oh, we're able to support 30 businesses to set up. At the end of the month, when you go there, only one business or two businesses working. You can see your investment.
Yeah.
So that's, just imagine a system. So it's a two game here. Fine, the mining systems are doing their work. It's a business they've set up. They are putting all the precautionary measures, they are putting all the safety measures, they are doing reclamation after their degradation. What are the community doing? What are their leaders doing to support their communities? The leaders are the one who gives them the land. The communities don't just go there and set up themselves. The governments are aware of that. So it's also in the place of the to also monitor what is happening there so that these systems are failing. And this is something we've been saying. I attended an agribusiness meeting and we're like, it's to get to a point where our old men and old women in the villages would, sorry to say, would go or would pass on. And then we wouldn't have locally made foods because it's only our old women and old men, they are the ones doing the local food, that tilling the soil. And the youth now, we are on our phones. If you're in local areas, we're in the Galamsey sites.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's interesting. I'm getting all my headlines, which is great. So before I ask my last question on Apiati issue, I don't know if Danny, if you have any question to ask, then probably I ask my last question. Danny?
Okay, and I would probably give you the go ahead to do that. I'm enjoying the conversation though. Picked up a few things and probably before we round up, and I will just touch on it, or I'll ask Betty some few questions on it. But Eddie, you finish with that PT, and then I can go into the other aspects of the environmental issue.
Okay, that's fine. So my last question there, Betty, is you have to say something to mining communities. What would you say to them with respect to taking control of their security? What should they do? Because I know that in some communities they have these, should I say, groups or whatever, who are so interested in looking out for their people. So, for instance, if there's some sort of misunderstanding, they get on board, they seek redress, they probably pickets against these organizations, these mining institutions. What would you tell these mining communities with respect to their security?
Okay, I would say that they should increase their monitoring systems as a one. And secondly, they should equip their occupational health and hazard personnel to be able to identify these incidents or disasters earlier prior to them happening. And apart from that, the committees, they should be able to set up committees and task force so that in case of all these disasters or happenings, they'll be able to sit down, deliberate, and they'll be able to gather the funds for themselves. Because right now, there are lots of funds being secured for them. And that is just making another person rich. They need a committee, a disaster committee. When something happens, these individuals are the ones that are equipped for this particular tax. They have an account secured Right now, you have one person who is championing and saying, oh, we are the one in charge for them. Send the money to this number. And half of the money goes to their pockets and half of the money goes to the people. So these are some of the systems they should put in place. They should increase their safety. In a mining company, you have where you put on your helmets, put on your nose mask, put on your goggles, put on your gloves, if you're working in the mine site, and your overall. The same with the communities. They should have a system. Right now, they see that this is something, because this is the first of its kind, where a dynamite will carrying a truck carrying dynamite has exploded in broad daylight. They should have a system in place. Right now, the cars carrying those dynamites, they should be able to put in some protective measures, make it some explosion proof or something. What happens when this kind of explosion happens? And that even surprises me. When this car caught fire, within cars, you'd have extinguishers, you would have all those safety devices. Why wasn't there some in that car? Because before it exploded, it caught fire. And the driver came down and saw it caught fire. What did he do? Those are just some of the things you have to ask yourself. So with those cars themselves, the companies doing this dynamite, the mining companies and the community, they all have to equip themselves all around. It's not only the mining companies. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much on this. So the other part of the interview probably will be the last part of the interview because I learned we have just 10 minutes to go. Now, I know you've been embarking on your personal environmental projects. You've been doing things for Ghana. Is it Gayu or yeah?
Gaio.
I know you've been doing stuff. So what new are you doing with respect to environmental?
Hello, Eddie.
Yeah, Danny.
Yeah, sorry to come in like this. Before I wanted you to, before you go to her personal project, I wanted to find out. We're talking about this explosion, especially at this time where we have the dry weather, and I don't know what is being done, especially conscientizing people in terms of being cautious and being aware of the season that we are in. It's easy for things to just catch fire and all those things. So my question has to do with our agencies or environmental agencies. For me, just like she mentioned earlier, it looks like system is failing. Is it, Betty?
Yes, you can say that. Well, you can say that the system is balancing.
Because often than not, usually at this time with the farming communities and all those things, we have issue of bushfires, especially at this time of the year. So that is, and all these things equally affect the environment. And just like you said earlier, there are some part of the ecosystem that has been affected by the explosion, and it looks as if we're turning blind eye to that. So what about the other living organisms that were around that vicinity and that probably were affected? In this case, what can we do as a country in terms of letting people understand and knowing what to do, especially at this time, because there seems to be low education and low information on these issues.
Okay. When it comes to disasters, NADMO, the National Association Disaster Management Organization, they are the one in charge of taking up all these issues. And they are the one in charge of doing sensitization. But you have some organizations also into disaster education. For example, Gaia as an organization also has, as part of its thematic areas, disaster risk reduction, where we do a nationwide education campaign. You can go online Just go online and type GAIO, NADMO, UNESCO, DRR quiz competition. And you see, we around in Ghana, yearly, we do sensitization when it comes to disasters using children. So high school, we do competition for them. We ask them questions just to bring the minds of people towards the instance of disasters. So right now, I can tell you that although some of these organizations are doing, it's the prior responsibility of NADMO to ensure that citizens are aware of disasters and will be able to put in the necessary measures when the time comes. For example, when fire is burning, you don't run towards the fire, you run away from the fire. But what did we see? We saw the opposite, where people were running towards the fire with their gadgets and lost their lives from it. So NADMO are the people that are supposed to be in charge. They should top up their game. How many times would you see a flyer going around saying that disasters are this and that? When you see a disaster, this is what you should do. Hardly would you see that. And yes, as you said, we always turn a blind eye to environment, and we wait for it to eat us first before we then see. The same way we wait for disasters to occur before we notice that it has actually occurred and we should put in the necessary precautionary measures. And that's what is happening. A number of our floras and faunas are being lost daily and daily. But what are we doing? We're not doing anything about it. It's always politics. It's always, what do they call it? Faith-based issues. It's always about entertainment when it comes to environment. Oh, everybody walks past a dirty gutter. Everybody walks past a heap of waste. Nobody cares. So that's the system.
Okay. So, Dania, I'm sure you're okay.
Yes, I think you can move on with it.
Okay. So, in 2 minutes, I don't know if we still have 2 minutes, but let's see. Before we let you go, we want to say we are grateful. Thank you. If it cuts, I don't know if I should go again, but I'll call you on the phone to say thank you. Now, on your personal projects, what are you doing? What do we need to report on? If there's any new policy or anything projects you have coming back.
Great. So I work as a project coordinator for my organization, and we have 3 thematic areas: climate change, disaster risk reduction, and circular economy. We are youth-led, gender-balanced organization that focuses on environmental sustainability and community development. We work with local organizations, we work with assemblies, we work with communities. We have projects with Gais Municipal Assembly, Ladade Kotopon Municipal Assembly, Cape Coast Metropolitan Municipal Assembly, Abrakwa Municipal Assembly. Our project that just goes round like that with them. And within those areas, we have material recovery facilities where we convert waste to resources. In terms of that, we have something we call the Sustainable Community Project. And this looks at diverting waste from landfills, generating revenues for community individuals, and then protecting the environment and sensitizing the community individuals when it comes to segregation, environment, health measures. And when it comes to disasters, I just told you what we do. And then in circular economy, we produce products from waste. For example, you can see my screen. I showed it to you. This sachet rubber, we use sachet rubber to produce items like this, like bags. We are also preventing littering and environmental disaster, because most of the sachet rubbers go into the gutters and they choke the gutters. So if you're able to make use of these sachet rubbers to produce income for individuals within communities, we train them, they're able to generate revenues for themselves, and be able to divert waste from landfills and boost the economy of the particular community. And then in terms of climate change, we have university students we train to equip themselves in terms of climate leadership and environmental stewardship within universities. We have Cape Coast, we have UDS, we have KNUST, and we have Legon. We have more than 400 students we train when it comes to environmental issues in the various thematic areas I mentioned: climate change, disaster risk reduction, and circular economy. Our target is just to ensure that the masses have the priority of the environment at heart. And that is what myself I'm championing. And I hope the community can also champion. I hope the population can also champion that same thing. So that when we see a disaster, we do not only think towards the angle of people dying, but we look at the angle that we lost biodiversity, flora and fauna. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are so grateful for your time. And we are environmental journalists. We are not NGOs or those stuff. So whatever you are doing, we are ready to publish it for you and push it out there. We'll be standing by any time you have stories or whatever we have to publish for you. You can please test it to us for us to write and then push it out there for you. We are very grateful for your time. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Yeah.
Same with you. Thank you very much, and Daniel.
you.
To connect, yeah.